the road.
Okay, everybody, we are live. So tonight, before we get to our regular agenda, we are going to start off with a presentation by our wonderful new district attorney, Nicole Ziccarelli, and I believe Chief Seafield will be introducing her. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dice. I appreciate that. Mayor, Council, good evening. Thank you for having us before you tonight. I thought I knew a lot of people here until the DA walked in the room, and that's pretty darn incredible, I got to tell you. You know, but listen, I got to meet the new Westmoreland County District Attorney, Nicole Ziccarelli, when she actually was setting up meetings with, I believe, over 30 police chiefs in Westmoreland County, and going to each chief to talk about crime, talk about what's important to them, talk about what's going on in their communities. What I've noticed about the DA is that she has a lot of energy, she's focused, she's forward-thinking. It's really it's a nice thing for us as chiefs to see that new look come into the DA's office. So what she did was she went around and talked to all of us. She's been at some of the chiefs' meetings. I was just at a meeting with her last week. So what she is concerned about is reaching out to law enforcement, helping us in any way that she can help us with funding. She ran on the platform of helping out the victims, bettering the communication, and I think, Madam DA, that's one of your top priorities that you have done well, is better the communications between law enforcement and all the district attorney's office. And I also would like to introduce Ron Zona, who's the chief of the county detectives of Westmoreland County and works out of the DA's office. So if you remember back several months, Mr. Morrison brought before council to get the authorization to sell our 2 police motorcycles that we had. And also at that point, we were given the ability to do that. And at that time, Mr. Morrison explained that the proceeds would go towards an LPR, or a license plate reader. So that's the reason that we're here tonight. And I just want to explain to council and to the community that the LPRs are not going to be used as red light cameras. We will not be monitoring traffic by these LPR cameras. They are strictly a crime investigative tool. And knowing a lot of chiefs in this county, Allegheny County and surrounding counties, these LPRs have been very, very key in solving a lot of serious major cases. And history has shown here with our police department that Route 22 corridor often is a drug passageway from Pittsburgh to Johnstown or Altoona. So this is why it's very important. So speaking to the DA, that she was fully on board with also providing the funding for us to cover one of the intersections. So with the proceeds that we got from the motorcycles, the proceeds that we're getting from the DA's office, we're going to have the west and the east end of Murraysville covered. And I don't want to go too far into what they do, but I can guarantee you that it's a very effective investigative tool. I'm hoping that it'll help us further solve crime. And I think it's a good thing for the municipality, the community, the citizens, and getting our ability moved up here with solving crime. So at this point, I would like to introduce Westmoreland County District Attorney Nicole Ziccarelli.
I have to bring it down a little bit. Well, I'm so happy to be here in the gateway to Westmoreland County. I love Murraysville. I'm here all the time. I live in Lower Borough. My husband and I have 4 children up there. My husband has a small business, and I'm through here all the time. And in a couple weeks, when summer rolls around, I'll be here every Thursday at the golf camp over here on your golf course. My kids go every single Thursday. We've been doing it for years, and we absolutely love your community. I am so happy to be here to support your community, to support your law enforcement, to support your chief, and to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to stop that free flow of drugs into Westmoreland County from Allegheny County and beyond. That's what this is all about. And I have to say, I've got to give your chief so much credit. He's not going to like me for doing this, but there he is over there. When we went around, when the chief was talking about us going around to all these police departments, this was before I took office. 3 weeks prior to taking office, my chief and I went around and visited about 30 municipalities, went to the police chiefs, sat at their desk, saw the physical plant of their offices, and asked what they needed. And the number one thing was communication. And since then, I've had such a wonderful open line of communication with your chief. And I need to tell you this because you have such a treasure in Chief Seafield. Almost everywhere we went, the other chiefs said they look up to Chief Seafield. That's who they turn to when they need advice or guidance. And I see it every time I'm at a chiefs of police meeting or anytime they look to someone for leadership, it is your chief. So you really have such a wonderful treasure in Chief Seafield, and I'm honored to be a colleague of his now and to work with him. And if he had not reached out to me and asked me for these funds, it wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have known you needed them. So this really falls squarely on his shoulders, and I want you to know that. And I thank him so much for letting me know that, because we now are going to protect the gateway to Westmoreland County. We're going to make sure we're doing everything we can. And this LPR is really going to be tremendously helpful in solving crime and protecting your community. So it's with a tremendous amount of respect for law enforcement and respect for your community and my desire to keep you as safe as possible that I'm going to present a check to the municipality of Murraysville tonight for $13,212 from the Westmoreland County Drug Fund. And I wish you all the success, all of you on council, Mr. Mayor, to the chief, and thank you for having me here tonight.
Yep. Thanks again. We really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping out. And I think I speak for all the council whenever I say we can't tell you how appreciative we are for Nicole stopping out to see us. We really do appreciate that. That brings us to the recognition of another really great person, Miss Diane Hemming. Joe?
Hold it together. There's really two things we're going to do this evening, Diane. We're going to recognize you for Achievement Award for your efforts during the last 12 months. And the mayor's going to recognize you for your service in the community over the last 29 plus years. Diane she's such an integral part of this community. In fact, the seats that you're sitting in, she actually ordered. The carpet you see, she picked. The colors, she did. That was one of probably 5 of the best projects we did together. Was the construction of the building here. Equally important and probably less palatable to the residents of the community was all the work we did last year for the implementation of the earned income tax and the raising of the earned income tax. We so strongly believed in that as staff because both of us feel it's important to put this community on secure financial footing going forward, and that will do that for this community. Without Diane's work, I probably should say there's 2 things. One is that whenever Diane and I work with numbers, we're completely opposite. I go this way, and she goes this way. Yeah. But we always meet. We always come up with the same number, right?
Yeah, eventually.
And you just sit there and look at, she just sits there and looks at me. How do you do that? And
Yeah.
Hers is more logical.
Yeah, he's like big picture. I'm very small.
It's been, we've been together
26, 25 years?
Yeah, well, a short gap. I had a little leave of absence.
Yeah, you left me.
So, but it's been a strong marriage. So, this evening, for all of her efforts in doing the hundreds and hundreds of spreadsheets to justify the taxation, I recognize Diane Hemming for her outstanding achievement during the 2021 year.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. All yours, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm honored to be able to do this. I've been hanging around this municipality building now for about 16 years, and I've sat across the table from this young lady when I'm arguing the other side of the budget, trying to make it work for a certain group in the community or whatever, and she's telling me why we can't spend the money and why it's more important to spend it somewhere else. But as far as dedication, this person, you couldn't find another dedicated individual to this municipality, because it's always about what's best for the municipality, whether it be for the police department, the fire department, the library, the parks and recreation. Her heart's in it the whole way, so I'm deeply honored to present you with this little token.
That's beautiful.
Don't drop it, I handed it
know,
to
it's
you.
heavy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
thank
Mayor.
you. Thanks.
Oh, you gotta say something.
Yeah, good. Here, I'll hold that so you don't drop it.
Thank you very
You
much.
need a microphone.
At the last minute. Thank you very much for everything
welcome.
you said, and I appreciate your confidence and your support through all the years I've been here. It's been a great place to work. It really has, and I'm going to miss everybody.
And we're gonna miss you. Thanks,
you
thanks
again.
again. Thanks.
Thank you.
I didn't pick it out. It's Carly.
Well, Diane, thanks again from everybody on council. You've been here a lot longer than us, but thanks again. Thank you for all your support. Absolutely. Okay. Well, with all the good times out of the way, let's get to the meeting. So we will call to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stepanovich,
Here.
Mrs. Ling,
Present.
Mr. Lemak, Mr. Dice,
Here.
Dr. Lee Corns,
Here.
Mr. Spadaro,
Here.
Mr. McKenna,
Here.
Mayor Sinan.
Here.
All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Morrison, do we have any unlisted amendments this evening?
No, sir.
Thank you. That brings us to our consent calendar items, just the minutes this evening. Any questions or concerns about the minutes? Hearing none, can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of March 16th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. That brings us to comments by the mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Dice. I'll ask Georgia to come up first, please.
Who's gonna take George's picture?
We already did that. She's going to protest if you take it. This certificate is awarded to Penn Franklin News for 75 years of service to the Murraysville community. Running a community newspaper is an all-consuming profession, and your dedication to excellence is unwavering. At meetings and events in the communities are not complete without the Penn Franklin reporting. For such a small staff to relentlessly cover meeting schedules, special events, advertisements, and seasonal celebrations flawlessly every day is incomprehensible. Murraysville thanks you for your devoted service to the community, and we look forward to another 75 years.
Well, thumbs down there.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll follow that one up. I'll ask the folks from the library to come forward. Everyone, please. Meritorious Award citation. This certificate is awarded to Murraysville Community Library for 100 years of service to the Murraysville community. Having originally formed in 1922 by the Murraysville Women's Club, library has seen a myriad of changes from card catalogs to audiobooks and dusty book stacks to virtual programming. The library has grown into a full-service facility providing advanced technology, services, and programs for all ages. Congratulations to the library staff, volunteers, board, and foundation members. We look forward to continued excellence in programming. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I believe we have a couple municipal announcements also. There we go. Easter pet photos with the Murraysville Recreation Department, Saturday, April 9th, 10 a.m. to noon. Free to attend, but please provide a donation to Pets Friends Animal Rescue when you arrive. Treat bags provided by Walker's Pet Hotel. Location, Westmoreland Heritage Trail Visitor Center, 4301 William Penn Highway. Contact the Murraysville Recreation Department for more information, 724-327-2100, extension 131, or take a look at the website, murraysvilleparecreation.com. Next is the Easter drive-thru. The Easter drive-thru will be held on Wednesday, April 13th from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Municipal Complex. Drive through and say hello to the Easter Bunny, Yellow Chick, and pick up a free treat bag. The event is free and open to the community. Pre-registration is not required. Again, the same municipal phone number, extension 131 or 153 if you need more information. Okay, Cleanup Week, Murraysville Cleanup Week is April 25th through April 30th. The Pleasant Valley Landfill. The municipality of Murraysville's residents may take items to the Valley Landfill on Pleasant Valley Road from April 25th through the 29th during the hours of 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. or Saturday, April 30th from 7 a.m. to 11. Permit passes will be available beginning the week of March 1st through April 29th at the reception desk here at 4100 Sardis Road, Murraysville. That concludes my announcements for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, comments by the Chief Administrator.
Two short comments, Mr. President. On April 22nd at what time, Carly, for the clubhouse? 3 o'clock on the 22nd. We'll have the open house for the clubhouse at MCP.
All right, wonderful.
We finally got the pipe to put the water in and the electrics in, and we're ready to go as soon as Bill gets the parking lot stoned. So Friday, April 22nd, 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Also, I provided to you this evening the annual report on the deer harvest. We had a successful program again this year in the various parks. We all know that it's an archery season project in those parks that are identified there. The number of deer called. And then also the second graph shows the number of deer killed on various roads throughout the municipality. And that was the reason the program was initially instituted some 9 or 10 years ago, was to reduce the traffic incidents along municipal roadways. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions or concerns from council? Nope. Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mac.
that brings us to community input. That brings us Matthew Ackerman.
My name is Matthew Ockman. I live at 4211 Bulltown Road, and I'm here today just because, as we've seen in the news, significant events going on, and we've seen rising gas prices, and then there's discussions of food shortages coming up in the near future. And whenever I'm here discussing any major either nationwide or worldwide events, I like to give my suggestion as a citizen to the council in ways to help the citizens. And the question I bring today is, does Murraysville have a contingency plan for the well-being of the citizens of Murraysville if there's a disruption of daily life? And when I say disruption of daily life, I'm talking about significant disruption where where people can't be fed, where people aren't warm, things like that. And those could come from a variety of things, such as food supply chains disruptions, prices going too high, gas shortages, financial and banking institutions being disrupted, and then energy, like a collapse in the energy grid, just to name a few. Some suggestions that I've thought about that may already have a plan, but if not, perhaps we can encourage just the local citizens to implement private or even community gardens, as well as animal management, such as farm animals, chickens, goats, etc. Discussing with local scoutmasters for survival tips, if in case we do have worst case scenario where people don't have energy and it's cold for weeks on end. Perhaps having community classes for water purification techniques that people could do as individuals or families. And then just any discussions with the local churches or organizations where people could be housed and centralized to be taken care of. Just in short, is there a plan for the citizens of Murraysville to join together to put in work and knowledge equity to keep families warm and fed in a worst-case scenario? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ockman. And I can say, too, just to give a brief overview, I know there is the Emergency Action Team in Murraysville that I believe Miss Valerie Mittenreiter runs, and they stand ready to help people. And I believe, Jim, if you could go over a little bit, we have our own emergency team.
This, in fact, is the Emergency Operations Center here. Notice the red tapes on there. Those are where the wires drop down and communication occurs. We have groups identified as warming centers in the community. I don't know that any community is prepared for a cataclysmic event, but we certainly are prepared to respond in any emergency situation that we're capable of.
Thank you, Mr. Ockman. And I can just say, Mr. Ockman, that is something we take very seriously, and we want to make sure we're always prepared. Okay. That brings us, or for the good of the order, is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Okay. That brings us to liaison comments and committee reports. Let's start with Carl.
There was a meeting of the Parks and Recreation Foundation on March 22nd. All members were in attendance. J.C. Milchak was sitting in for Diane Hemming, and the liaison, myself, and the mayor were there as well. The minutes of the treasurer's report was approved. The cost of the memorial benches has increased significantly, and there's additional space available for additional benches. The thought was that and we will be giving thought to it, the foundation, alternate memorials, ostensibly with a lower cost. There was also a mention of having little library book stalls will be considered for high traffic volume parks like Duff and the Municipal Community Park. And that'll be in coordination with the Library Foundation. There was a initial input from the local park survey, and what was garnered from that was that bigger playground areas would be desired, additional porta-johns, toddler-specific play areas, and of course pickleball. Some ideas for recreation. One was idea put forward was for a seniors evening dance event at one of the pavilions, and that'll be discussed further. Also, the possibility of having the Franklin cheerleaders perform at the band intermission at Tuesdays at Townsend. And once again, that'll be something that we'll be considering. The location for the cornhole slabs, and that we do have 2 of those, it got down to the initial 2 between Townsend Park and Murraysville Community Park. The thought was, and this is to be confirmed after discussion with Public Works, that the location be close or at the Leftwich Pavilion, and it may be taking the place of the unused shuffleboard facility. Next meeting is April 19th, and the meeting was adjourned. And next Tuesday is the meeting of the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Tony?
Medic One had a meeting last month. They had 1,493 trips totally, 338 wheelchair trips, and 178 Washington Township trips. Their subscription drive is over finally. They raised $167,340 for their donation, which is 25% of the people who were contacted. They lost 2 trucks this past month. One, the transmission went, which they won't fix. It's not worth fixing. And they also had damage to their wheelchair truck. So none of them will be replaced yet because they're not sure what they want to do with them. Naturally, they're hurting now, they said, because of the increase of fuel prices starting to take its toll, which it does for everybody else, too. PPE supplies are still coming in good, and they have more than they need. They're going to have a financial audit, which will be going on this next month. And right now, they're looking for new hires. They need a few people, and the people they hire, they will be trained. And that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jamie?
I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Jamie?
I attended the last 2 school board meetings since the last meeting on 3/21 and 4/4. Currently, there are no large agenda items that jointly affect both council and school board. The next school board meeting is Monday, April 11th. On the 22nd, there is a finance committee meeting, and on the 2nd of May is their general budgeting committee meeting. So I'll keep you informed.
Thank you. Matt?
Parks and Recreation, we meet this coming Tuesday. The mayor kind of hit some of the events that are going on. The Egg My Yard is coming up. They'll be doing that Monday and Tuesday, April 11th and 12th, that will be going out to your home. So just if you signed up, keep an eye for which day yours is. We had 77 homes that we'll be doing. So big thank you to Carly and Amy and the Parks Department for putting that together and getting ramped up for a pretty busy season here, obviously, when the weather gets nice. So other than that, just keep eyes peeled still for the neighborhood park surveys in the community. If you didn't fill one out, you can still reach out to the Parks Department and fill those out, or let us know what you're looking for in those neighborhood parks so that we can adjust them to what the people in the community want. And also, just if as people are in the parks right now, we're getting everything opened up. Bill and his group done a great job of getting the parks ready to go for the season here. And if you see anything that's out of place or needs done or anything, please let us know so we can address it. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, FTMSA, just a few quick things. Firstly, they just finished the flow model collection system, and that is a gigantic milestone in the COA they have with the DEP, so that's way ahead of schedule. They came to an agreement with Waste Management to accept some waste, and they're going to create about additional $100,000 in revenue with something that just almost has no effect on their system. So that again just shows they're fiscally responsible down there. They continued to correct the 4 and 5 defects in the collection system. And lastly, they installed an emergency generator at the main treatment facility so that the plant can run if public power were to be out. That probably doesn't sound like a gigantic deal, but if you saw the amount of work and corrections and repairs they had to make to that plant to get the generator in, you really appreciate how hard those guys worked down there. So with that being said, we will move on from liaison comments, and we will get into our workshop items. So that brings us to 9A, a discussion concerning the proposed amphitheater at MCP.
Mr. President, what I'd like to do is just read from the briefing to give the background on this and the staff recommendations, and then answer any questions that council may have. As you're aware, in 2018, the staff began discussions internally here concerning the construction of an amphitheater at Murraysville Community Park. It was essentially identified in the comprehensive park study and was planned to be the third phase of development, third and final phase, actually, of development out at the park. We presented the concept to council and began the initial concept design for the facility. At that time, that was done in-house by our in-house engineer. At that time, it was estimated the cost would be approximately $800,000. That plan was used to apply for a grant through the Pennsylvania Conservation and Natural Resources, and in the fall of 2019, we were notified of a grant amount of $300,000. The municipality would have been responsible at that point for the balance of the cost, either through a cash match, which that was available through the Capital Reserve bond issue, and in-kind services performed by the Public Works Department. In the next step of the process in 2020, the municipality hired Mackin Associates to do the site plan alternatives and the preliminary design. They appeared before council, presented those, and the design was identified. Those estimates at that time were approximately $1,200,000. And a lot of that had to do with the site location being moved further into the park area, the design and construction of a road, and other associated infrastructure to support the project. It was determined some additional cash would be required to meet the increase in cost, but most of the increase would be covered by in-kind services by the Public Works Department. So at that point, Public Works began some of the work out there. In 2021, in between COVID, the municipality hired KU Resources to complete the final design of the project, and their responsibility was to develop the site plan, prepare the bid documents, and provide cost estimates for the project. Public Works continued with the water line installation, the sewer line installation, some site work, and some preliminary work for the road there to access the site. In early 2022, KU Resources provided the cost estimated for contracted services, and at that point, they reflected the increase in prices that we're all experiencing now and estimated the cost to be $1.6 million. Most of the costs were related to the inflationary factors we're experiencing now, the availability of materials and labor due to the pandemic. So at that point, we as staff got back together and said, let's relook at this. And we really came to the conclusion that at this point, not knowing where we're going with pricing, we're experiencing increases daily here as we open bids for various materials, roads, work here at the municipality. We're not even sure that the $1.6 million is a good number at this point, and it probably is not. So with that, the staff makes the following three recommendations. The postponement of the bidding of any contracted services for the project due to the continued uncertainty of the labor market and the availability and cost of materials. It's believed the cost will continue to rise over the short term. Two, the condition of the grant was the funds were to be expended by December of 2023. It is recommended that the municipality return the awarded funds and reapply during the current grant cycle for funds which reflect the current cost estimates. And three, to have Public Works continue as time permits out there to complete some of the infrastructure work, to reduce future costs, and to put us in better footing when and if the grant is awarded. We feel confident that the project has a good standing for award this next time around. They awarded it the first time. It was based on a lot of the fundamentals that the grant was awarded on the first time, and the funding agency believes it's a good project. So we're hopeful that it would be returned, or that the grant would be awarded again. Unfortunately, an investigation of the current grant of $300,000, The guidelines that DCNR evaluates the awards on is based on specific items. And they do not permit money to be moved from one park to another park. And as a result, we really don't have another project at MCP. So we really have no choice if, in fact, we were to return the money to DCNR at this point to use it anywhere else. So, as I said, we're optimistic. We continue to work at it. We believe it's a worthwhile project. We have community support of the project. We have other sources of funding in support of the project, and we will be hopefully awarded a second grant, reduce some of the costs, future costs, with Public Works working at it, and hopefully get the project done.
Okay, so there's a lot there. Questions or concerns from council?
Did we, when we secured the first grant from the DCNR, did we do the grant preparation in-house?
Yes.
Okay, and are the same people there that did that?
The in-house personnel? Yeah. No, actually this grant is based on more solid costs because they were actually developed as the engineer as part of the final design cost. So we have a lot, it's more detailed than what was presented under the first grant application. So
Would we be able to use that grant, like the writing of that grant? We kind of could use that as a base for making a new
yes,
one,
that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And based off of does that go off of the project itself by cost? So we may get more money possibly, right? If that project is more in depth.
This application was made for twice the amount of the original awarded grant.
Right, so you did it for like 600 and get 300.
Right.
But I'm saying with rising costs now, if we did another one when we thought we wanted to do that, I mean, it may be because it's based on the project itself, right?
That's correct.
Not on,
that's correct.
So now that we know the scope of it, we could.
That's right.
Okay. So we may end up getting a better grant than we.
That's correct.
Just to confirm, Jim, then we have then submitted the request for the grant.
If council grants authorization tonight, yes, we will submit.
Okay.
For the new grant.
That's correct.
And what amount would we be seeking?
I believe it's 660 or 600.
The grant award?
The grant application for this current grant period is $623,000.
And how long is this current cycle open for applications?
It's they're due today.
Well, okay then.
It's horrible timing, but
That's all right.
Okay. Those ones, like the old grant we had, obviously with COVID, it changed that to where the spending had to be done by end of 2023, you're saying?
That's correct.
This new one
would have a 3-year life to
that would have a 3-year life, taking us out a little bit further. Okay.
Being that the original was a difference of $500,000 in what the municipality would have to cover in the difference, and now it's estimated to be twice as much, we would still have to come up now with double. Instead of $500,000 from the original estimate, we're looking at $1 million or a little bit less than $1 million.
In cash, no. We're estimating that if it's awarded the 623, the grant, that has to be matched at 50%, either in cash or in-kind services. So the maximum cash amount locally would be $623,000, but we hope to defray that cost by continuing to work at development of the site currently in-house, and also to do in-house work once the grant's awarded.
I guess what I'm wondering is, what is the expectation from the municipality as far as the expenditure?
Right now, it would be $623,000.
So an exact match?
No.
An exact match to the grant? Well, it's
Either money or services.
money. I'm just talking money.
I'm sorry?
So what I'm asking is, what exactly is the expectation cost-wise from the municipality?
Well, we estimated, based on this grant, that the total project would be $1.6 million.
Plus the
Okay, so
grant.
I'm still, so what I'm still trying to get at is what are we out, the municipality, money-wise?
Currently, you mean?
$1,600,000
With this new, with
include-
the new application at $623,000 and the job cost estimate at $1.6 million.
That's correct.
So there's a difference of $1 million, but you're saying we're expected to match that at 50%, the grant, correct?
Cash-wise
Cash-wise,
or in-kind services.
okay.
So we have 3 years
That's
with
correct.
the new grant.
If awarded, that's
If it-
correct.
Right, okay.
So if the costs of everything come down significantly.
If it
for the
comes
next
down,
couple
so
of
you'll
years.
monitor that, I guess, over the 3 years to see if it goes up or down. Yeah, naturally.
Yeah. Is there any way we can also come up with maybe some backup plan projects, just because, I mean, $600,000, that's a significant amount of money. I'd hate to apply for that, get it, and then have to relinquish that money as well, provided if, as we're saying, if inflation and the supply shortage continues, this 1.6 might be the cheapest it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah. We could certainly take a look at that, plan accordingly. And we have the time, as you said, a 3-year period.
Honestly, I love the idea of the amphitheater. I think it's just, everyone on council and staff as well thinks it's just the cost has grown exorbitantly.
It's just not the right time to be eating costs like that and to be looking for money. I'd hate to come to council if council said, okay, go ahead with the project as it's budgeted now, and come back and we open bids and it's $200,000 more. It just doesn't make good sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any questions or concerns with the plan as it's been laid out? We'll put on hold the project for now. We'll seek the new grant, and then we'll continue to monitor it, provided we get the new grant.
Right.
I
Just
don't,
one, I agree with your proposal there, Dane, Mr. Dice. But as far as work that we've already expended, do we have a dollar amount that the in-kind services at 200,000, 150?
Yeah, it's probably closer to 150. We've purchased materials for the sanitary line and the water line, and both of those projects are, even if we didn't do the amphitheater, will service the park. There's no fire hydrants in the park. We would like to get water into the facility now that we have structures in there. It will also support the splash pad, and so the water line had to be put in. The sanitary line has to be put in because it's going in the same ditch line as the water line. And we've always needed a second access into the park. And that's essentially what we've accomplished so far.
Is that some of the things Public Works will be working on?
That's all the work that Public Works has done.
Then they've done it already.
Yeah.
And the numbers that we've discussed, this will be in the minutes. Is that correct?
Sure.
Yep. Okay.
And I think to Jamie's point, like, when you're looking at that difference in there, I mean, we're applying for this grant, but this is going to come back to the table before we proceed in any way
Absolutely.
to look at that number and what it is, because we'd have to know exactly what that cost
That's right.
is to the municipality.
Prior to it going to bed.
yeah, and I don't think any of us would consider approving at this point with where the cost is
That
projected
kind
to
of
be
money.
right now, let alone if it goes higher. But
Right.
But I wanted to thank all of council and staff. I know for those of us who were part of the vote to raise tax in any case here, in any capacity, it was a very difficult decision for us. But part of what I think made us feel more confident in doing that was because we've watched the budget for years, and we've been very, very blessed with a staff that is very financially responsible, that looks for grants, that tries to do work in-house to save us money as a community. The idea of this project, I think so many people in the community love. We're not saying no, but we're saying not right now. And I want to thank staff too for doing this, all of the work in the beginning. It's hard to have a project that you've worked so hard on and then have to put it on hold. But really appreciate staff looking at this closely for the good of the community.
Thank you.
Second that.
It was a tough decision. It's just,
Yeah.
things sometimes just don't make sense. They're just not the right time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if we can get that money and get more money and then see where the prices go in a couple years. Yeah.
Any questions or concerns before we move on? All right. Thanks again, everyone.
Make sure Dane's on.
That brings us to engineering, 10A, which is a discussion concerning the proposed posting of no parking signs on the north side of Carousel Drive from the intersection of Manor Road to the intersection of Covil Court.
This is a constant enforcement issue at this location. There's an apartment building there that has, I believe, 6 units in. For whatever reason, the tenants choose to park on the street and not park in the parking lot there. I have a picture here. It's not a real good picture, but that's not the one I want. There are other code enforcement issues up there that we're taking care of now. This is the parking lot. If they can put it up on the screen. Hello? Mm-hmm. There it is. That's the code enforcement issue there. Apparently somebody just recently moved out. This has since been cleaned up. But if you notice, there are all these empty spaces here. This was taken, I believe, Monday morning. And this is the parking on the street. So why they choose not to park in the parking lot is beyond me. We've had times have cited individuals up there for having uninspected vehicles. One tenant used it as his personal garage, changing oil up there. It's a sight distance issue. If just beyond the U-Haul truck there is the circle of Carousel. So there's sight distance issues, obviously snow removal issues there. So we felt that the only solution would be to post it no parking, which gives us greater enforcement power there.
We have friends up there, Jim, and it's a mess. It looks like a parking lot on that street. I mean, there's so many cars and trucks, and they sort of give you a deaf ear too when you want them to move the vehicles. So.
Yeah, there's a person on staff here that sees that every morning when he pulls out of his plan.
Does the apartment building have enough parking for all of its residents?
It has the required parking spaces, zoning-wise, yes. That's the first picture I showed was all the open. There was all the open spaces there. There's at least 6 spaces right there.
Right. I mean, I think it makes sense if the lot's completely full, you know, maybe a holiday or something special, and people have to park on the street for an overflow, but it looks like that's not the case here.
Well, we get a lot of requests here for no parking on local streets, and the response has always been, well, we know you're complaining about your neighbor. If we put no parking signs up and you have your family over for the holidays, they're going to get towed too. So think about what you're asking for. But in very few instances do we go to this extent in requesting consideration of no parking signs.
This has been like a repeat.
Yeah, this has been going on for some time.
Yeah, that's the exception there. That's bad.
Yeah. Well, certainly sounds like we know what we need to do. Anyone, other questions or concerns? Yep. Okay, so we will proceed with the no parking signs.
We'll have a authorization to advertise an ordinance later in the meeting.
Thank you. That brings us to community development, a discussion concerning a proposed alternate sewage waste disposal system for a property located at 6054 Sinan Drive.
This is another unique situation. This is an older property up on Sinan Road that has recently been sold. It is on a septic system. The septic system is failing, and the property, there is nowhere where the soil's perked to put a new septic system in. The cost of extending to a public system is significant. So the last alternative is for the individual property owner to essentially create a package plant on site where the sewage, the household sewage is actually treated on site through, I'll ultraviolet light and chemical dosing. And then the outflow of the pipe goes to a stream or unnamed tributary in this case. So in order for that to occur, the municipality has to amend its Act 537 plan to permit the alternate system. So that's what is proposed this evening under the voting section of the meeting, is to permit this on-site treatment system with certain conditions, which would be that the homeowner enter into an agreement with the installer, that is inspected at least once a year, gives the municipality authority to go on site and inspect it, and also required it to be bonded in case that the system fails, the property owner ignores it, it gives us the right to go in and do the repair so the stream is not polluted.
Jim, a question, the preparation of the agreement, is that something that was done by the property owner or will be billed to the property owner, or?
The agreement is essentially a model agreement that we adapted for this particular instance. So there was really no cost associated in developing the agreement here. But the cost of the annual inspection that we're requesting and the bonding will be the property owner's responsibility.
Is there any precedent with this? Is that we've done this before?
We have
with
one
another
other up
property?
on School Road South.
Has that worked okay?
So far, so good.
Does that periodic inspection of the system, does that include testing the end product to be discharged of any biological hazards?
Yes, and we will also do that as part of the sewer enforcement.
Any other questions or concerns? I'll just say I echo counsel when you really don't want to do this, but it sounds like it's just a last resort here.
The only other alternative, and you never want to get to that point, but if the property can't be serviced for treatment, the property can't be occupied, so in essence, it's a taking of the property.
Well, we end up with Puckett Creek.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like we got a game plan there. That brings us to our action items. Can I have a motion for 13A, please?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 750-22, designated signatures for no lien certification.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie and Mac. Jim or Diane?
My last one. So currently, when no liens come in from the different real estate agencies to verify if there's any outstanding liens on a house before they would sell the property, either Verdell or Patty Lochner, our two administrative assistants, prepare the no lien letter. They do all the research to make sure there's no outstanding liens on our end. And then they send a form back to the real estate company under my signature, which usually they use my stamp because they could do 10 or 15 of these a day. So in discussion, it just seemed easier and more efficient for them to sign the letters. They're preparing the document, they're doing all the research. It doesn't make any sense why we couldn't assign them the task to do that. And if there's issues, then they can come back to the chief administrator or the director of finance, but it just would be a more effective, more efficient process. So that's what this resolution does.
Okay. Straightforward. Questions or concerns from council? No. Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to 13B. Can I have a motion?
Can we refuse?
I'd like to consider the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Diane Hemming, Finance Director of the Municipality of Murraysville.
Second.
Tony and Mac. Is there anything that needs to be said?
We refuse our resignation.
Yeah, don't. Nope, she's not let her retire. Nay.
No.
Well, thanks again for everything.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay, All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That brings us to 13C. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to appoint J.C. Milchek as Finance Director, Municipality of Murraysville.
Second the motion.
Let's go Jamie and Carl. Jim, anything?
Yes, this is the mayor's appointment based on the recommendation of the chief administrator and the advice and consent of council. Ms. Milchek has been with us a little bit over a year now. She's seen the good, she's seen the bad. She hasn't got used to me, I guess, going into the office yet. I'm not sure Diane let her know about that part yet, have you? But we wish her well, and we think she's going to do a very good job for us.
Awesome. Good. Council, questions or concerns? I'll just say I worked with JC a lot on the recent Public Works contract and was really impressed, so best of luck. Okay, if there's nothing else, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, that brings us to community development. Can I have a motion for 14A, please?
Consider issuance of a dangerous structure notice to the owner, occupant, mortgager, lessee, or any other persons having interest in the structure located at 6026 Sinan Road, tax parcel 49,070,000,059, to repair or demolish said structure.
Go ahead. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Carl and Tony. Jim?
This is a follow-up to the public hearing we had at the last meeting. It's a structure that was essentially burned out on Sinan Road. We held the public hearing, presented at the public hearing the reasons why it's a dangerous structure. This is the next step in the ordinance process, is to give notice to the property owner and give them 10 days to repair, demolish, or something to correct the situation. So it's a procedural matter in accordance with the ordinance.
Jim, I was out the other day. It looks like somebody started to rip it down.
They got a pink dumpster in the front yard.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what they're doing there, but we haven't seen any life. And we've got no response from our notices, so they get this notice, they probably will do one of two things, either take the dumpster out or get busy.
It says repair. I don't think you could repair that house.
There's no repairing of that structure. Interestingly enough, the house that has the treatment unit is 2 houses down from this one.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Any other questions or concerns?
No.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. That brings us to 14B. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 751-22, a resolution to approve an alternate waste disposal system at 6054 Sinan Road, Murraysville, PA.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie and Tony. Any question? We already discussed this. Any new questions or concerns before we vote? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to 14C. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to consider approval of SP-10-21 Murray Corporate Park, a major land development, corner of Mellon Road and Route 22, tax parcel 49-21-00-0-033, B zoning.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Let's go Mac and Tony. Jim?
We have representatives here this evening for the project.
Would the representatives want to step forward? And please just make sure you talk into the mic right there so everyone can hear you.
Yes, I'm Steve Caruso with Civil and Environmental Consultants, representing my client, Murray Corporate Partners, for the development, the Murray Corporate Park development. and here tonight hoping to receive major land development approval. We do have 3 outstanding items. I believe we're right at the finish line right now with NPDS for construction, waiting on response from the Conservation District, I believe. We're supposed to receive that last week. Sewage planning module, FTMSA is reviewing our plans right now, and I believe it's been in their court for a while now, so we're anticipating approval soon on that as well. And the HOP for the driveway, we're planning on getting a approval, hopefully tomorrow, a response from PennDOT after several rounds of comments.
Okay, wonderful.
The Planning Commission recommended approval of the land development, and there was a list, I believe, of 12 conditions, which include a request for 3 waivers. The first would be a waiver on the environmental impact study, the air quality study, based on there being existing development there already. Waiver to reduce the pipe slope requirement for discharge to the pond from 1% to 0.5% because of the site lay there. And then to reduce the glazing requirements on the north and west sides of the building down to 0%, and the east and south side of the building to 12%. If you recall, I believe the drawings of the elevations of the buildings there.
Support documents.
The north and west side of the buildings are the buildings or the facades that face 22. It's hidden somewhat by the store hall that is located there. And the north side is the Penn Township side of the building. Can you put that up on the screen, please? The Planning Commission felt that there was sufficient vegetation on those 2 sides of the building to grant the waiver. There you go. It's essentially a flex warehouse office space type building, similar to the other buildings that are currently in the corporate park.
I know from the Planning Commission, being at those meetings, that it just indicated that the area where there is no glazing, no one's going to see, or there's going to be very, very slight visibility there. So it's not going to hamper anybody or be unsightful because no one can see it.
But is that vegetation on this parcel, or is it on a different parcel?
I'm not sure. I would think that it's probably shared by both.
The trees that are behind this building are on our parcel.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Council?
There's a list of 12 conditions. Other than the waivers, fire hydrant would be placed at the entrance of the driveway. The NPDS permit, which was referred to, the bonding requirement, 110% of the proposed improvements. The proposed easement to the municipality for access to the detention pond, which is to be reviewed by the solicitor. Approved plans by FTMSA, if that occurred yet.
I think they're in the process right now of reviewing this.
Landscaping requirements, the bonding of the landscaping requirements, the HOP, which was referred to, and the traffic impact fee of $42,720. So those are all conditions of the approval.
And is the applicant, you've reviewed those conditions, you're okay with them?
Yes.
Okay. I just note that our approval would be incumbent of those conditions and those waivers as contained in the staff briefing. Okay. Any questions or concerns before we vote? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to engineering. Can I have a motion for 15A, please?
Make a motion to reduce the sequestered funds being held to to ensure completion of the required improvements of the Bella Louise development in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
Thanks, Jamie and Tony. Jim?
This standard process, they're nearing completion up there at Bella Melise. The proposed reduction items were inspected by staff and recommend that the funds be reduced.
Okay, pretty clerical. Any questions or concerns from council? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to 15B. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion being to reduce the bond being held to ensure completion of the required improvements of the Valenciano development in the amount of $382,266.63.
Second.
Jamie and Tony. Jim?
Most of the grubbing, topsoil stripping, excavation, and the S controls are in place up there. They've actually come in for, I believe, 4 building permits to start up there. So again, the request was reviewed by staff and recommend release.
Questions or concerns? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have nothing under Public Works and Parks. Any old business this evening? Okay, hearing none. Any new business?
No, sir.
Okay, I see we will be having an executive session tonight. Do we plan on having any action coming out of that?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, I have and I'll say it's an executive session for personnel matters. I have a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.